Welcome to X and Z Movie Reviews. We are back, and tonight we're doing the Backrooms. We just saw it in the theater. It's something that both of us agree on that we loved, and we are going to do our review of it. We're going to do an analysis of it because there's a lot to talk about. This is a movie that's more than just a movie.
Yes.
So we're going to kick it right off with a Gen Z perspective because this is a Gen Z film.
This is all Gen Z, baby.
Pure modern storytelling, and it's great. What did you think? What are your thoughts?
So jumping into the Backrooms for Gen Z, for me, this movie is about the repetition of daily life, the monotony of it, the poison that it generates. You go every day, you watch the same videos, you do the same job, and eventually this will make you crazy. This whole movie plays on this. It plays on the poison of looping back on itself. Every time you do it, it gets a little bit worse. The first time you saw the meme video, it was funny. By the 25th time, not so fun. So it plays a huge role. It's one of the major themes in the movie, apart from the atmosphere, which we'll get into more later. But it is cleverly done. It is personified through the main characters, and it is very, very well crafted, to say. So for Gen Z, it's very eye-opening because it's representative of today's world, So for Gen Z, that's my take on the Backrooms, which I was not expecting from the Backrooms.
Okay.
So moving on from that.
So you had experience with the Backrooms,
right?
Because
right.
you've been watching.
I've been watching the series and the concepts
for years.
For a few years.
And in fact, I remember you showing me maybe 2 years ago a Backrooms video, and you explained it to me. And at the time, I didn't register what it was.
I only showed you one video, and it was the first video.
Okay.
In Kane Pixel's series, because that one's the most popular, and of course he's the director of this Backrooms movie. And at that point, I don't know how well I explained it to you, but in either case, it was very hard to grasp what it's really about just on one video.
I didn't get it at that point.
Right.
But now that we've seen the movie, now I do get it.
Right.
And
they do
how
very
you
clever.
explain the loop and the repetition of daily life, to me, this is very representative of a couple of different things. So anyone that's worked with computers, you do a backup, and then you do a backup every day, and then after a year, you have 365 backups, all of kind of the same thing with very minor differences and adjustments. Right. And over time, things get corrupted, data gets corrupted, and in the Backrooms, you go through room after room after room, and they're all kind of the same but slightly different, and then some things get corrupted. So it's very, very cool, a metaphor in that regard, but it's also representative of what you were saying, daily life.
Right.
So it's a lot to unpack. So I'm going to go back to the beginning a little bit. It's directed by Kane Parsons, who's gone by Kane Pixels on YouTube for many years. And right now he is the director of the moment. He's 21, I think, now, and he's
very young.
Broken so many records, and it's a phenomenon. It's amazing right now. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Rensfe, and the characters themselves are not necessarily. They do great jobs for what they're doing. They're perfectly cast, and it was not an easy job to do because they need to play important characters that are not important more so than the theme of the story.
They're more or less, their characters, they're plot devices.
Yep.
They're used so that you can have something to relate to, and they're used so that the story can move forward. So it is basically a perspective. So it's less about the characters and much more about the story. They are just used for the story.
And the story does take precedence over all of this.
Oh, yes.
It really is.
It's a whole world.
A representation of a world, but it's just the same thing over and over and over. Now,
that's right.
Before that starts to sound monotonous and boring, And everyone's seen the pictures by now. You're looking at them on our
You're
video,
yeah, of course.
and it's just one yellow room after another. Which in the movie it becomes comfortable but uncomfortable.
You get
It's
used to it.
ominous but somewhat cathartic in a weird way. And man, uh, Parsons does a wonderful job of keeping up the tension in the movie, but also um, making you not want to come out of the movie. And it keeps your attention, but it also makes you want more.
Exactly. No, curiosity killed the cat.
You're dying to go into the next room to see if it changes. Okay, and
Exactly.
there's never like a boring moment in this movie. I think for the people that like it
There's
and
not a
get into
scene.
it,
There's not a scene wasted.
and
That is
some of the environments do change,
sure.
and there are levels, and all of this is represented throughout the film.
Hmm.
Um, and then it has some scenes in daily life, which also show what they call the liminal aspect of this, which is repetitive nature of some things. And for people that haven't seen it and are not familiar with it, the liminal aspect of it is the same kind of quality that they used. It's been done for years. Kubrick did it in The Shining with the hallway and the carpet and that aesthetic.
Hmm.
It's been used again many times, and it just describes a transition between places that is not meant to be lived in and of itself. It's just the in between of 2 points, two destinations, and it can be represented in a lot of different ways. It's very effectively represented in these yellow rooms. Describe how you felt when you came
So,
out of the theater.
so coming out of the theater, when I went into the theater, let's just back that up. I was not expecting this concept, which is the Backrooms, because it is not a well-established thing. I believe the original photo, the original creepypasta, began in 2019. The original photo that was used in the creepypasta, I believe, was taken in 2002. But
Something like
somewhere
that.
around there, either way, the Backrooms itself is a newer concept.
Mhm.
It's only been around for so many years, you know. So for me, walking into this movie, I was expecting kind of mid-quality, kind of schlocky horror movie with maybe some cheap jump scares, maybe some psychological aspects to it, but not a lot of effort put into it. And I was expecting something along the same quality as The Monkey. If you've seen that movie, we do have a short review of that, I believe. But
Yeah, we never did the
we never did the long one because it didn't have a lot to talk about. Either way, uh, that movie kind of sums up, and or any schlocky horror movie. I mean, there's a lot of them. That's what I was expecting. That was kind of the standard. Walking out of the movies, and I've heard a lot of people say this. I had to think about it. You had to sleep on it. You had to contemplate because it was not simple. It made you think. It had layers. It had subconscious feelings and emotions. And so when you have a movie like this that isn't just a one and done, you can go back and you can rewatch it. And these are very, very good and well done movies. So that's how I felt. I felt like I need to go back into that world. Ironically, like
Okay.
how the main character goes back into the
He
back
keeps
rooms,
going back in.
you're just dying to see. That same effect takes place in real life with this movie. That's how I feel about that. How did you feel about that? Because you had no introduction to this. You were not familiar with really the Backrooms or any of the lore associated with
Yeah.
Ken Pixel's series.
Yeah. Okay. So from a Gen X perspective, I um, I knew that you liked it, and I do trust your taste, obviously. Um, Not that we always share the same opinions, but you said that there was something to this. So I went into it thinking like, okay, I'm going to find out what's going on with it. There's going to be something to it, and it was more than I expected, and it came at me from a different direction than I expected. I did not realize that it was going to be all ambiance and concept. And I'm used to well, we say a lot in a lot of these movies, like they could have done more with the characters, they could have done more with the plot.
Right.
There were holes, there were problems, there were time jumps and skips, and it just
Right.
didn't make sense,
The
right? So
continuity didn't
this
add up.
is this is a movie that does not care about your opinion of it, and it doesn't matter about the plot, and it doesn't matter about the characters. Everybody was perfect because the nature of the movie is unreality. It was immediately apparent that it was a reflection of how a 20-year-old would look at this world, or a 15-year-old, depending on when Kane Parsons was working on this, and it represents just the slop that everyone is being served on a daily basis, and it represents for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like going to college representing financial debt instead of opportunity, and why everything is the way that it is now. Why don't politicians ever make sense, any of them? Why are prices so high when they shouldn't be? Why did we just go through a worldwide pandemic, but nobody really talks about it anymore? It's like that it brings the uncanny valley right up front, right there in your face, and the sense of unreality. And I can see from a Gen X perspective where this came from, and it's original, it's new, it's fresh, and I would have never thought to put things in those terms of just repeating rooms in this dull, ominous,
Office,
but comfortable color, sort of
right.
weirdly, both, neither, I don't know. And the plot is, just go with it. The plot is exploration. There's a subplot. There are basic events that keep
Sure,
you invested in
you
the
can look
movie,
into, the characters, and
but
you could look into the basic storytelling elements, but
it's
that
not.
doesn't it's not the bigger picture.
It's not the bigger picture. So yeah, I thought it was just really good storytelling using a very current perspective.
Yes, what Kane Pixels did with the Backrooms to tell a story um, was impressive, because I was going into this, like I said, not very high expectations, and I thought that it was going to be based off some other lore that the Backrooms has, because there's however many levels and however many entities, in these levels, and there's different.
And he doesn't cover that.
He doesn't cover that.
He very wisely knew that he wasn't just going to take the YouTube videos
Right.
and put them on the big screen.
Right. He didn't just make a collage of all of it and, just try to make his YouTube series bigger.
Mm-hmm.
He separated it. So it's congruent. And I use that term specifically because in an interview he said that he would like to have these um, series, the movie plus the actual series, be congruent, which is good. That was a smart decision. Um, so he only used what he's already used. So instead of saying, and now we're in this level, we stayed with what we got. So very, very intelligent move.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So,
So this is a movie that we've heard more than one person say, "Wow, I got out of the theater and I needed some time to think about that."
right?
And it's a movie that I think it's important to note. A lot of people are very uncomfortable with this movie, and that means it succeeded. I think in a lot of
Yes,
ways.
I think you're right.
So I consider that a win. I also consider the money that it's making a huge win.
Well, it's just
Uh,
impressive the amount of money that it's made.
yeah, and it's kind of representative of the cultural moment that we're having right now, because for many years we've talked about the state of Hollywood, and for many years the film industry and the movie business has been in decline. They're not making as many movies. The movies aren't making the money that they were making. The pandemic uh, did really represent a change in time, and the theaters have never been the same. Um, but a lot of conversation has also been had that the movies are not as good, and that's I think something that we would agree on. because we've seen a lot of really mid-level movies. Like they're not good.
There's a lot, and
Um,
they're asking for a lot to go see them.
they're asking for a lot to go see them, and they're not returning, the
The
time
promise.
and the money that you put into it. They're not coming through on the promise. So what we're seeing this year is, instead of going through the Hollywood log jam, we got YouTubers. So we had Iron Lung, we've got Obsession, we've got Backrooms, and these are all getting mentioned together because these are people that built their following on YouTube. And as it turns out, that following is willing to follow them to the theaters. So all this idea that people don't go to theaters anymore, that goes out the window when you have something that they want to see.
Yeah, when you have something to go see in the movie theater, then you go to the movies.
Right. For
As opposed
anyone.
as opposed to, Predator, I'm like, I would have waited.
Ooh, wow.
Would have waited for that one.
I wasn't
I'm just
gonna.
saying, that's like the last thing we went to go see in the movies.
Yeah. That was the last
That
thing
was
we
the
went to
last
see in the
thing,
movies.
like we were due
Wow.
for a redemption. I mean,
Okay.
seriously.
No, that's a trip.
Seriously, man.
Yeah.
So
All right. Let me throw some numbers at you because
sure.
this is a part that fascinates me. Uh, Backrooms was made with a $10 million budget. And let's compare that to the other big movies this summer. They're being made for 150 million or 200 million or 250 million or more sometimes. And that's
Lots of money.
just below the line budgets. That's not all the extras. That's not the advertising and marketing.
Right.
So you're talking
That's the
about
bare bones.
movies that you know that below the line budget is already so high, and then everyone, they're shocked when it doesn't turn out to be a financial success. There's a movie in
Yeah.
theaters right now that we're not going to talk about, because it's not time to talk about that. And it's representative of an expensive blockbuster, and it's just cratering because of lack of interest, because they didn't bring it.
Because nobody
they
cares.
they didn't fulfill the promise. But you have something that people do care about, like Backrooms, and boom. So they both made the blockbuster and Backrooms made the same amount of money on opening weekend for the 3 day box office. Okay, and the budget was a tenth. It was actually much less than a tenth, almost like say a sixth, fifth or sixth, something like that. And it's amazing. Same thing with Obsession. Obsession was made for $750,000, and then it got bought by studios. And Backrooms has been helped by studios. It's kind of interesting. It's an A24 movie. That's a studio. This is their biggest movie by far, their biggest release ever. And Kane Parsons was helped by producers James Wan, who we all know from Conjuring and many other movies,
And Oz
and
Perkins.
Oz Perkins, that we know from The Monkey and
And
Long
Long
Legs,
Legs.
and all that good
Hmm.
stuff. So these folks, came in, but the word that keeps being passed along is that this really was Kane Parsons' movie, and I think you could see that because I did go
Oh,
back and
most
watch
definitely.
YouTube videos, and I'm like, okay, this is all his stuff, and this is not.
There was not a lot of influence as far as the storytelling. And I'm like, okay,
No,
that is all him.
no, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
you're exactly correct.
So, uh, well, the last thing I'm going to say that really impressed me was that this is not a jump scare movie, but the tension remains. This is definitely kind of if you make a point to go in open minded and you let it take you on a ride, it's going to.
But you're not going in open minded. You say, I do want to elaborate a little bit. So, whereas other movies where it's just go in, have a good time, don't worry about the story so much.
I'm not saying that.
That's right. But I
Okay,
just wanted
all
to
right,
elaborate
good
on
point.
that because it can sound synonymous.
Well, you hear it all the time.
Right,
Reviewers
just
like,
go
I
in
had a good time
open-minded.
with this movie. And you're
Right,
going to hear
it
that
was
about
fun.
a lot of movies this
Not
summer.
the case. This
No.
movie has a ride to go on. There
Absolutely.
is a roller coaster, and it has peaks, and it has things to look forward to, and it has some mystery, and it's got a lot of answers, or not a lot of answers. It has a lot of questions unanswered. So don't worry about it so much. Don't worry about overanalyzing. Don't worry about the quality of the movie. It's there.
Yep.
Just go in and don't think about the exterior surrounding other movies or the industry.
Don't compare it to other
Just
movies. That
just
that's
let it be.
Yep.
And that is another huge theme in the Backrooms. Let it be what it is.
Yeah.
So, with that, just wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, no, good point.
So,
Good point. Because a lot of people
just wanted to mention because it's
say
not
junk
just a
like that, and you're like, oh, so it's terrible.
right,
But
just have
it's
a good
good.
time, man. Like
Yeah.
no, not the case. This movie has substance.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I just want to mention the atmosphere, the iconic atmosphere of Backrooms, the humming lights, the endless yellow wallpaper. It adds so much more than you would even expect. At one point, both of us actually, I don't remember, it wasn't at the same point, but we were both like, how long have we been here?
Yeah,
Because
we
this
were
movie is an hour and 45 minutes long.
we were talking afterwards,
Right,
and both of us at one point or another in the movie were like, how long is this
right.
movie going?
How long?
Like,
And then it ended, and we're like, what? That's it? Like, what?
oh,
What?
it
What's
does
that?
do that.
It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
So,
Leaves a nice cliffhanger
oh yes,
to think about.
right. No, it's
Right?
not. It's not like,
It's not a
and then
cliffhanger like,
nothing. It's
oh,
like,
we got to
oh,
find out in the next movie. It's
right.
like,
No,
oh,
it's not like, and get your tickets here.
yeah,
No, it is. It's something that you know is well thought out.
yeah,
Like I
it's,
said, everything in this movie is very cleverly done.
Yeah.
And well crafted. So that's the last thing I wanted to mention. It's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for 2026. I mean, this is a phenomenal film.
yeah. No,
I really enjoyed.
2026,
I
yeah.
enjoyed this movie. I think that it'll last. There's things that you can go back and analyze, that you can think about
Oh yeah,
after a second or third watch. There's there's something there.
yeah.
And
Okay.
he is going to continue. I believe they planned to do more films, so you can expect.
He's
I
been a
think.
little. Um, he wants to do it in a television serial sense. He feels like it's best presented that way. I think that that's going to be reminiscent of the
Of
YouTube
the YouTube
history,
series. Yep.
and I think that now that as a filmmaker, he gets to see how the audience has been affected by it. You know, let's give him a moment
All
to
right,
breathe and
maybe he needs a
reflect,
little
and I'm
maybe a
sure
little time.
anybody would, because the
Naturally.
success of it right now is just blowing everyone's mind. So let things get a little quiet, rewatch it, see what happens.
All right, that is a fair point.
I'm very much looking forward to this coming out on video. One of the
Oh
things that
yes.
we've done in our absence, we got a projector screen, and we stopped going to the theater.
We stopped
We
going to
started
the-
bringing the theater home,
Exactly.
and it's
So
made a huge
we got a lot of
difference.
movies.
Oh
A lot of
man,
movies.
we got a lot of reviews coming up.
We got a lot to say. A lot of things to
We've
talk about.
seen a lot of cool stuff, and we are excited to talk about it. But
That being said, I'm Z with your Gen Z perspective.
and I'm X with your Gen X perspective,
Okay.
Xness.
All right,
Perspective.
you got the X, I got the Z. Either way, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next review.